Greetings, I'm Chappers and welcome to this video all about, do you want to go shopping and buy a guitar? Here are some things that might be useful for you to look out for, think about when you are purchasing a guitar, whether it be secondhand or first hand, whether it's a collector's piece or whether it's something that you're buying for a live application. There are a bunch of mistakes I have made that I can pass on to you. I have bought many a guitar because I am old and obsessed. These two things combined have allowed me access to numerous guitar products, and I've bought everything you could imagine that was broken, faulty, hidden problems, obvious problems that I thought I could overcome. I've kind of run through the mill, come out the other side a little bit more experienced and knowledgeable about how to buy a guitar, especially second hand, because when I started out playing guitar, the majority of the product that I bought was secondhand. It's what you did in the early 80s, is your dad got you a really cheap knockoff Strat, and then you traded it up, and you kept trading up until you had a gem or a Jackson soloist in my case. Anyway, I want to keep this short because I think it's not a long video, so don't worry, you don't need to make a drink, although you may if you'd like to. Let's start from the top, work our way down. This will apply to the majority of guitars that you are likely to find. First thing is, does it sound good? Now, I have seen other reviews on this subject where that isn't the primary objective, and I would say it has to be the primary objective. If a guitar doesn't sound good, what's the point of buying it? Do you know what I mean? It might look amazing and feel great and feel quick and fast, and you might think, yeah, this is the best guitar ever, man, but you plug it in and it just doesn't have that thing, and you're not going to pick it up frequently at home. And yeah, you can change the pickups, but you know what? It's an entire physics system. So just changing the pickups, it's not going to do everything for you. And I would strongly suggest that you, as much as possible, after you've looked for imperfections, close your eyes and just listen to it. And when you play a guitar in a guitar shop, if I could just offer this advice, as much as possible, if you are shopping, don't play to the store like a performance, although it's fun. Play to yourself. Close your eyes, just listen to the guitar, play something that you're really familiar with playing. Play an open chord, listen to it. Play a riff that you know really well. Keep your eyes closed and just listen to the guitar. Don't plug it into the mega, ultra, out of reach, whatever amp that might be for you, whether it's a Friedman or a Boogie triple rec. Plug it into an amp that you are familiar with. Maybe something that you already own. And if they don't have it, bring it with you. Because otherwise, how are you truly going to judge whether or not this guitar sounds good? I put sound at the top. Next for me is how does the instrument look and feel? Now, look is important, but it's not as important as how it sounds. It's important because if it doesn't look badass cool, you're just going to leave it on the stand or in the case under the bed, even worse. You're not going to want to pick it up because it doesn't look like a Les Paul. It doesn't look, awesome. You want to rock it every day. By the way, this is my friend's Luke's, which is why it's up here on me. I didn't want to adjust the strap, so it would be difficult for him. But yeah, it's got to look cool. So when a lot of people message me and say, Rob, I'm trying to choose between these three guitars, I'm not sure which one, then I'll often say, if you've played them, which one looks the coolest to you? Because you're going to pick it up more often, Anyway, those are the obvious things. Yes, you can change pickups, yeah, you can paint it, but you don't want to have to do that. You want to buy it, take it home and destroy it. From the top down, you're going to give it a visual scan for obvious damage. So this applies to brand new and second hand because brand new guitars can be damaged in transit. You'd be amazed how many guitars from all the brands, Fender, Gibson, Jackson, PRS, Chapman, everything. There's always a percentage of damage in transit because they're coming from Korea, Indonesia, China, all these places. It's on a boat or a plane or whatever, in pallets. It's a long old journey to wherever it ends up with you on the back of a lorry. So scan it visually. Areas you're really going to be looking for are the back of the tuners, see if they're straight, the ends of the tuners to see if it's been banged. This is a really prime location for a headstock bang is at the edge of the tuners. If you see a little ding at the edge of a tuner, inspect further. You might see cracks. Work your way down here, look at the fingerboard. Is there any fret wear if it is a second-hand instrument, specifically under the G string 3rd fret and specifically around the 14th, 15th fret area, again, G string. You'll tend to see fret wear if there is any, because people learn all these chords and people play lead in position 1 pentatonic in E, and that's where the wear ends up. Obviously, if it's a brand new guitar, you're not going to have that problem. Looking down the fingerboard, you want to be feeling the frets as you go and seeing if there's any sprout, which is when the wood on the neck shrinks because the humidity, the climate's changed, and the frets are coming over. That can be addressed very easily by a well-qualified technician. It's not the end of the world at all, but you want to feel for it and see if there is any. And not a lot of people will do it here. They don't do it down here, and that really is the telltale. Has it had that situation occurred? Down here is where you want to feel. Following it through, imperfections in the wood of the fingerboard, not really a big deal unless it makes a big difference to you visually. Are the frets all seated? So there are all sorts of tricks of the trade that people who inspect guitars will do. I've seen one guy who can flawlessly play every single note on a fretboard like this, and he plays all the way up. It's really, it's not going to do a lot for you, because what you're working with there is it set up in the first instance or not? And you really cannot judge a guitar on its setup, because setup, firstly, is really to the hand of the beholder, and the second thing is it can be completely changed at will. So you're going to kind of have to go with, is it set up the way I'd like it to be? If not, if you're shopping in a good store, they're going to be fine with you saying, listen, is there any chance you could raise the action? Or is there any chance you could lower the action a bit for me? Or I think this neck angle isn't great. If you're not sure, use your thumb, touch down the G string on the very last fret down the very first fret, same string, and just touch your finger over the 12th fret. There should be a little bounce in the string. It should just be kind of 1.5 mm over that fret. That means that your neck is very slightly curved. It's good. I don't like a really straight neck. Some people like it mega straight and they want a higher action. I prefer a little bit of a curve and then a fairly high action as well, just to let the low end out of the string for my heavy, stupid riffing. If you do this and you get like 5 mil, then the neck needs an adjustment. But you can just check. You probably will have, I don't want to teach you how to suck eggs. That's an English expression, which means you probably already know how to set up a guitar, but feel it for action and set up and make a judgment then as to whether or not things are awry. If the setup is good, play it for a good while in as many areas as you can and listen out for things like fret buzz and dead frets. Better still, take yourself over to somewhere like Stumac, buy yourself a fret ruler, bring it into the shop and just say to them, listen, do you mind if I check the frets if it's a second-hand guitar? And they'll be like, no, that's fine. No one else does it. It's kind of weird, but go ahead. And you can rock it and see if you find a high fret. And if you do, you know what to do. You can either get it dealt with by a technician. It's a really simple thing to fix, or don't buy the guitar. All the way down to the body. This is where you want to be looking for cracks around the neck area. Imperfections in paint jobs generally end up here. Now, why is that important? It's important because if there are big imperfections in the paint job, what else does that tell you about where it was made and the level of attention that was put into the instrument? If the paint job looks really good and everything, then probably they put a bit more attention overall into the product. Down to the bridge, check the saddles for wear if it's secondhand. A lot of them are going to have pits, depending on the material. Some of the older bridges, you might even need to replace a saddle or two, because you might find that the string has just gradually eaten its way through the material and done things which you don't want it to do. Now, electronics. Here's the thing for you. If you're buying a second-hand guitar, I'd argue that it doesn't really make that much difference if there's a crackle or a pop or an issue with the input jack. These are really cheap things to fix. If they really are, you can change an input jack for just a couple of quid, do it yourself. If this is a bit crackly, poppy, you can clean it, get some spray clean and just deal with it. Or again, it's a couple of pounds, couple of euros, dollars to change a pot. CTS are pretty good, Switchcraft are the best, but don't overly criticize a second-hand guitar for having a little bit of pot and input jack wear. And again, with this, you can get some switch cleaner, spray it in. Don't always blow in here because you'll be blowing moisture in from your breath, and that will mostly resolve, a simple switch. And then when you've got to the bottom, you want to take a look at the end pin, because a lot of the time people will bong and dent it and crack it and smack it around, and it can be a pain in the ass if you don't have locks and you're just going to be putting a regular strap on. You might find that the strap will come off, and that is a bad day. I'm beginning to perspire because I've turned off the air conditioning so that it doesn't make a sound, so that you don't hear air conditioning. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to crack it on, wait 10 minutes and then kick off again. That's the only problem with filming a multi where it's like 30 plus degrees all of the time. So you've got down the guitar, you've worked out if there are any areas of flaw that you want to change. The next thing is, are you buying an expensive brand guitar? If you are, check the serial number. There are loads of really authentic copies of Gibson, Fender, all these big sort of key name brands. And some of them will even fool experts. So check the serial number, get as much information as you can to ensure that it's a genuine artifact. So the next thing is kind of price, money. How much do you want to spend? And a lot of people will email me with a budget and say, what should I buy for this budget? And I would always tell them, put the majority of your money into the guitar, because that's the conduit. That's the bit that's going to be giving you, the feedback and the sound, not just feedback sound, but feedback, the playing. It's going to really facilitate whether or not you play a lot more. Then it's the amplifier. Amplifiers are really important, but if you're starting out, put the majority of your money into the guitar first. It's my advice. It's not, the rule. It's just what I did and what I would recommend that you do. Especially if you're a beginner, you're going to find if you buy a medium price, top of your budget kind of product, it's going to be way easier to play than something that is really, really affordable. Although there are some really good affordable guitars, you're just going to have a better time on a guitar that costs just that little bit more. There is the law of diminishing returns that my friend Captain Anderton often talks about. I wouldn't spend less than a couple of $100 on a guitar unless I really, really had to. Anyway, hope that's been useful, interesting, or in any way of value to you. Smash the subscribe button, pummel the bell of notifications. Have a tremendous day and enjoy purchasing guitars. Chappers out.